What's going on, guys? Crank here, and on this episode of As the Crank Turns, we're going to be taking that Swiss cheese out of this van and putting in some fresh sheet metal. Let's get to it. So I'm currently out of metal. The only thing I have is some really thin stuff or some stuff that is too thick. I did find this piece that I had left over from a sheet, and it's not quite big enough. As you can see here, we've got a little part of a circle there missing from a sign, but you know, it covers, fills in most of the holes that we need. We'll just have to do some small patch panels on a couple of the small places that are outside of the main area of rust, which I'll show you now. So you can see the main area of rust there underneath the driver's seat and through the middle here. That sheet will cover most of that and come over to here. We will have to do a small patch on this piece here, and then there's a hole right here, a couple spots that we'll have to do a small piece there as well. So we're going to get that other piece in here so we can trace it out and start cutting. right, so I have the main section of the floor cut out. I'm just hoping that there's enough clean metal around it for me to be able to weld to. As you can see there, I mean, the floor is really rusty. Like I said, you know, I'm gonna do another little panel that comes out here. I just didn't have any material that was a big enough section to be able to fit all of this. I would have liked to have replaced the whole thing. I am looking for this panel here for a replacement panel. I looked real quick earlier and didn't really see anything. I find, you know, this section from, you know, this seam here up, I found a few of those for sale for each side, which this spot's not too bad. You know, I got a couple spots on each side there, and then, you know, these spots are pretty rough. You know, I've already made some panels there that we're going to weld into place, and then, you know, have a thin sheet here, couple, you know, different places like that around there that we have to fix. But yeah, if anybody knows of this, you know, this whole center piece right here where the seats go, if anybody knows somebody that makes a replacement panel for that, drop that below in the comments, and that would be really helpful. So I'm gonna set you all up and probably do a time lapse to see if we can actually get this to weld, and hopefully something will stick. And man, that carpet is right there beside it, isn't it? We'll just pull it up, but we've got our E-track right there. Maybe go see if I have a welding blanket I can lay over that. I don't think I do though. May have to pull that up. We'll see. All right, so I might have messed up. The last footage before this that you saw, I was spraying some Stillet on the floor pan before I welded in the patch panel that I cut out. Well, while I was waiting on the Stillet to dry, I stuck my phone in my pocket, and I never set it up to record. So yeah. Still pretty new at this, recording videos and stuff while I'm working. And now it's I think it's about 1:30 in the morning. I'm about to head into the house because I ran out of gas for my MIG welder. Got most of everything welded in. Man, I was not kidding whenever I said that I was hoping there was going to be metal or material to weld to, because I chased them. I was chasing welds a lot. I'll show you a little bit. I'm not going to go too into detail because it's, I mean, with as much rust as on this, it's not good. It's better than it was, but it's not good by any means. So there it is. Like I said, I ran out of gas, but you know, it's not pretty, but it's better than a big hole in the floor. So that's a bonus. I'm not going to worry about my seat falling through the floor as I'm driving down the road, which was a little bit of a concern before. So that'll be good not to have to worry about that. Again, it's not pretty, but it is what it is. I'm going to continue to look for that panel, so in the future I can possibly replace that entire panel and not worry about it. But anyway, tomorrow I'm going to get up, and because I don't have any metal and I'm going to have to make a seat bracket, I need to go get some metal. So I'm going to run to get metal and get some gas. So that's where I'm going to end here. We'll see you in just a bit. It's going to be a while for me, but not too long for you.
That's what she said.
So I went to replace my argon CO2 mixture. I've just got a small tank for my MIG welder. I don't do a ton of MIG welding. I do want to get a larger MIG welder and, you know, a larger tank. Start doing a little more as far as chassis go. But anyway, that's not the point. So I was welding my floor pan in the van. Ran out of gas towards the end. There's a little bit I need to do, but it's on the opposite side from where my wiring harness is going, so it's no big deal. I can push forward with it. But I went ahead and went to exchange my gas cylinder. It's only an 80 cubic foot, you know, nothing big. Well, where I get my pure argon, where I rent my tank from for my TIG, is it's about 45 minutes from my shop. So with it being just a small tank, and you know, I own the tank, I didn't do that. So I called around the close by town that would have that type of stuff. I went to Tractor Supply, which is where I originally purchased the tank, and that's where I had it exchanged originally whenever I bought the tank, you know, probably 20 years ago now. And that's who I used before I moved to Alabama and back. And like I said, I don't do much MIG welding, so I think this is the first time, I know this is the first time that I've had to exchange this cylinder since being back in Kentucky, because the cylinder that I had was from Nexair, which was in, I believe, Opelika, Alabama, where I got that. So anyway, the Tractor Supply, you know, super friendly, super helpful, except for the fact that I exchanged it, and the guy that was out there exchanging the cylinder for me tells me, hey man, just in case whenever you bring this cylinder back and exchange it, just tell them that you brought us a blue cylinder originally, because we're not supposed to take anything other than the blue cylinders, which on the cage right there that I was staring at, basically sizes 1 through 4, it clearly stated you may exchange any color privately owned cylinder, but anything larger than that, it had to be the blue thoroughbred cylinder. And so whenever he said that, it caught me off guard. And you know, I was like, well, it says right here. He's like, yeah, I know, but they don't like us doing it, so I'm just trying to save you the hassle next time you come. So I was, you know, whatever. I carried it back to my truck, loaded it up, and I thought it felt a little light, like it was already empty, but you know, I didn't have a good way to test that in the Tractor Supply parking lot. So I get it home, and last night I didn't go back to the shop afterwards, so I just went to hook it up, carried it in, put it on my welding cart, and I pull the cap off of the bottle. And again, I hadn't really looked at it. You know, I see that it's the same size cylinder that in blue. That's about as far as I looked into it. I just assumed, and there was the issue. I just assumed that the guy working there knew what he was doing. Well, I'm headed back to Tractor Supply because whenever I removed the cap, I noticed that the fitting on the valve was wrong. And if you know anything about cylinders and different gases, you probably know where this is going. He gave me oxygen. He gave me oxygen for an oxyacetylene. So the fitting's not going to work, obviously, which luckily the fitting is not the same because, again, I assumed that the guy had given me 75-25, which is what I purchased. It's what I paid for. that is the cylinder that I gave him. And so whenever I noticed the valve was off, I started looking over the cylinder like, well, let's see what this even is, because you know they're different valves, so I didn't know exactly what this valve was. But I get to looking and I find the sticker that has what it is, and this goes back to me thinking that it might be an empty cylinder, or at least low, because that's whenever I noticed the shape of the tank, and the sticker that actually showed that it was oxygen was halfway ripped off and had rolled up on the corner, which is why I didn't see whenever I looked at it originally that, oh hey, that says oxygen. Again, I was taken back by him telling me that they're not supposed to take, you know, different colored cylinders, even though it said on their sign right there they do. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. I was wanting to be installing a wiring harness, continue to drive to Tractor Supply, and I will update you all to see what happens. All right, so we're back in the shop. We got the gas bottle situation all sorted out. Told him what happened, showed him my receipt, took the oxygen back, and gave me a argon CO2 mix, and good to go there. So now that I've got the floor pan, the rust in the floor fixed and replaced with that panel, I am doing some sound deadening. Bought this stuff here, is pretty affordable. We'll see how it goes. I've never really messed with any of this. It's the 80 mil, and I just started, as you can see, I just got a couple panels. But I just wanted to sort of test this out, and you can see here on this inner fender here, we got half of it pretty much, so you can hear that versus, I mean, that's a big difference. So we'll get this put in and show you what it looks like whenever we got it all across through here. All right, as you can see, I've got the sound dampening all over the floor in the cab area of the van, and that's where we're going to stop for the night. I'm not sure what time it is, but it's getting late, Saturday night, and it's hot in here. Putting all that sound dampening down, it started to get warm, as you can probably tell there. I'm a little shiny, but we've got it anyway. Here it is. Not perfect, but it's a lot better than a huge hole in the floor and a lot of rust. Come on. I said it, come on.
All of you.
Daddy, chill.
See, we got the old wiring harness out. The next video, that's what we're going to be doing. Finally putting that wiring harness in. I think I've got everything I need, as long as everything works. I got my fuel pump I need to install. Still need to install some stuff on the engine. As you can see, I took the alternator and power steering pump off, as well as the bracket that holds it. You know, I was saying it was pretty dirty, and it just did not look right with that freshly painted engine and that brand new water pump. So I do have it sitting here. I'm actually going to pull off the LS power steering pump. I was reading that I can use the factory G30 power steering pump with this bracket and on the LS. So we're going to give that a shot. Mainly the big reason, well, two reasons. The reservoir is on the power steering pump on the LS one, and the fittings are different on the LS than what the G30 came with. As you can see here on the van, that's the power steering pump reservoir for the OEM style power steering pump for the G30. So if I can get that to work, all I got to do is run this little hose over here, and boom. I don't have to worry about filling my power steering fluid up way down there to where I'm not sure I could get to it once everything is on right here, because there's still a lot to go on, and we're going to start losing room quick. I did buy a cheap cold air intake just for an LS truck that I can modify to sort of get somewhere. That'll really be the last thing that I'm doing once I start putting the radiator in, getting everything on the front. That way I know where it goes. I guess the only thing that I'm missing right now as far as parts that I can think of is an electric fan for this. The engine had a mechanical fan on it whenever I bought it, but some of the blades were broken off and messed up, so I didn't want to use it. And so I just decided to go with an electric fan setup. So I've got to look into that a little more. I believe people run Nissan Altima electric fans on these and say they work pretty good. So I'm going to get everything back together, measure it. I'll be able to start it and run it for a few minutes, without that. And I'm actually going to try to start it before I put the radiator in, just so I can look to make sure everything's going good. We won't leave it running very long, but at least then we can start it, make sure everything's good before we start putting everything on the front of this van. That's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to drop a like below, comment on what you think of these videos. If there's anything you want me to show more of, let me know in the comments. And if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Super easy to do, and it helps me out a lot. So we will see you next time on another episode of As the Crank Turns. Come on.
What the hell is even that?